also record the sessions, and I've been posting to the Facebook, not the Facebook, the YouTube channel. And by the way, our YouTube channel got tons of free stuff. It's not near what our course offers, but has tons of stuff. So if you just, at work and you forgot to log in, you can always use the Facebook just to see our previous Kahoots. You see lots of our videos there. Okay, we have great news. Okay, starting next week, we are setting up we're just finishing probably in the next 2 days, hopefully in the next 2 days, setting up a platform. This platforms will have 5 rooms for each of the domains, and will be open at least twice or 3 times a week. So what is that for? Basically, we have our content in there, and you go in at certain times and you study together. So it is a study group. Okay, it's the only purpose of the study group is for the students that are enrolled in our course. They can meet, greet, and learn together. So, for example, it might be Monday 6 p.m. and Wednesday 6 p.m. and Saturday 4 p.m. Something like that, right? We're setting up right now. I can't give you exactly the date and the time, but we're almost done setting up. It's a lot of work. It's like building a new course. Our videos and content will be there only for a certain time, only open for the students that are enrolled. And why we do that? We do that so that it's focused, so we don't have a spam. And second thing is that you guys can build on the knowledge that you have from the top. Go ahead. So that will be available to you guys. And if you are enrolled in the course, we'll go ahead and send you an email and let you know exactly how to log in and when it's going to start. It's going to be a try and error. If you guys want it every day, we can open every day. But obviously, we want to make sure that people are going to show up, right? So that's with that. The second thing, this week, we have lots of celebrations. Go ahead. Someone has a question. Please unmute yourself.
Yes, how will we find the schedule for that?
Yeah, so that's what the hiccup is right now, finding the schedule. I'm going to try 3 days a week. And then I am going to, first thing, like what I say, guys, I say, if you can teach it, if you can talk about it, you know your stuff, right? So the idea is that I can give you the slides and the talk points, and you guys can teach each other. So the first idea is that I'll have a sign-up sheet. Let's say you want to sign up for scientific foundations, and you pick several topics, and then you put up a date that you want to teach that class. And now the students will join you, right? Other idea is I'll have all the content there, and you guys meet and pick a content and kind of watch the videos together and talk about it. Either one, right? So I might have 6 rooms, 5 for the modules 1 through 5, and another one for the PMHNP crash course review. So we're kind of playing with the idea how to best focus your time, right? I'll go to sleep every night, every single night, and the only thing that's in my mind is how can I make it better, better, and better? And as you know, everything is free, right? Everything that we do, once you are part of the 30 days PMHNP Walk to Success, you shouldn't buy anything else other than the flashcard because that's out of my control. And by the way, that's 3 months access, okay? That's Brainscape. I don't have control over that. They give me a discount and I pass it on to you guys, discount. But anything else that we add or any other initiative, it's always free. And you guys have 6 months access. Some of you guys need the year because you are in school, and that's totally okay. All you got to do is shoot me an email, say, hey, my account is locked up to the 6 months. I'll go ahead and unlock it. You know, people don't realize that other courses out there, they will sell you domain 1 through 5, and then they'll go ahead and sell you the PMHNP question bank, and they go ahead and sell you the LMR or whatever you want to call it, right? So they end up charging like 3-4 times when we provide a very comprehensive course that's one thing and one thing only, okay? To ensure that you have everything that you need. to ensure that you don't cheat yourself, trick yourself by buying something new. Oh, I'm just going to buy the LMR. Oh, I'm just going to buy the crash course review, the PMHNP crash course review, and then you end up being short. Okay, this is the biggest investment, I think, in your education, and not monetary, but the biggest value that you will ever invest on your education, because you've done so much to get here. You are so close to passing. And, we have a tendency to always go with what's the cheapest. And sometimes it's just not, not the best. The best is you get the best full course available to you, and you pass one time and go. This week we had Sabrina. Sabrina is no longer here, is she? All right. So this is not about Sabrina, about somebody else. But let me talk about a person, okay, that I gave her the course. She was also taking somebody else's course, and unfortunately she failed. And then I went to talk to her, and I looked her stats, and she did not complete the course at all. She was at 10%. So what does it mean? Well, basically is that if you are using two courses, you're dividing your attention. Okay, not that you shouldn't use anybody else's courses, by no means, but everything you need is right here. And this person just passed yesterday, right? Second time. Now she only focus on my stuff, only focus on what she needs to know is right here. It's very complete, okay? So I don't want to hop on that, but my point is that if you are dividing your time, you are basically robbing yourself out of time, and you dividing your attention. No one can do two things at the same time. Oh no, I know most women say they can do many things at the same time, but you can't. You only have 100% attention. And you're not giving 100%. Okay. So anyway, we had a question. Joycelyn, you'll be right next, but I know. Oh my! Did she step out? I can't see your screen. It was, yeah, Mrs. Brown, please. You have a question?
Yes, I have a question. I remember when I was doing some time ago, there was a question that talks about that contract as it relates to suicidality.
Never.
But I was just widen my horizon a little bit, and I come across this this concept that said, do not manage suicidality in a community setting during the acute phase of suicide ideation period, unless the client is unable to make a no harm agreement. Is that the same thing?
No harm agreement?
Yes.
Negative. That's anytime you see no harm contract, it's absolutely a no-go. Now, if you hear, that's different. If you hear safety planning, that's a go. Okay. A safety planning is developed by Dr. Brown, is well known in the industry, is well known to be very, very effective. In fact, I have some studies that suggest I implemented at my work 78% suicide reduction if we implemented the ED. If you guys want to know how to do it later, I have a whole project, articles that I built, published, all that, how to do a safe planning, and potentially could reduce suicide rate by 78%. I presented this before. Anyways, safety planning, yes. Safety contract, no, never. Okay. But yes, so I'll leave at that. So those kind of questions, it can be misleading because we need to see the whole information of what's going on. But in general, never safety contract. Joycelyn, you have a question there? Unmute yourself, please. All right. If you do, please just unmute yourself.
Oh, Dr. Lopes.
Oh, you okay, Joycelyn? Was Joycelyn or I think it was Jamie. I'm so sorry. Can't see your name because my screen is so small. So my apologies. How can I help you?
How do we get to the test bank question?
How do we get to the question bank? Is that your question?
In the test bank for the 30-day walk to success.
Yes, absolutely. Great question, right? So we have a course that's everything that you find it is in there, excluding the question bank. But the question bank is part of your package. It's free, not free. I mean, you already bought it. It's yours. You're not buying individually or extra. I'll have to make sure that one, you already set up. I have to set up in 2 different websites, and I send you a login. So immediately after today's event, stick around so we can walk through your account and make sure that you're good to go, okay? So you should have received an email. It's probably in your spam box. Just type it in MP Exam Coach. If you don't find it, no sweat. Maybe it's because I didn't log you in or something else. We'll figure it out and get you squared away. Okay? All right. Then we had Helen. You have a question?
Yes, Dr. Lopez, I have put in the chat. So is it true that the exam will be changing this August?
Yeah, at September, I believe.
Say that again?
I believe it's in September.
September, okay.
I actually don't know exactly the date, but I heard some comments. It might be changing. It might be, again, decreasing the amount of questions. I think they are trying to measure up to the new PMHNP board certification for the other organization. So, you know, they're trying to make it like more of the same thing. So it's not much of a challenge. And the ANC, it seems to be much more difficult, okay? But again, guys, don't sweat. If you study the content, I guarantee you that you pass. Guarantee you are almost 100% sure. If you score 80%, this is so true. If you score 80% on the PMHNP diagnostic test, you can just close your book and go test. All right? You can just close your book and go test, because if you do it, you are well on your way. Nobody ever failed with us once they score 80% on my diagnostic test. Now, don't memorize the answer. Be like, hey, Dr. Lopez, I score. Well, I see that you're taking the test 5 times, right? I got all the stats. So, but if you like first time or second time and you honest do it, or even if you did more time, but you didn't write down the answers and you understand the rationale and you score 80%, I'll give you anything if you fail. I promise that you will not. I mean, as long as you do it honest, I don't care what your score is. I don't care if it's 100 or 1%. Well, I do, but it has to be for you. You the one who needs to care about it, right? I'll look at it. I'll analyze it for any inconsistency. I look at patterns that you are making mistake, and they'll advise you. The other thing is, if I tell you do not test, which I do tell a lot of people, you probably shouldn't test because you're not ready. Okay, and every time you test, if you already tested, the second time it will be a little bit harder, and the third time it will be even harder. That's why I call people sometimes 11 p.m. I'm like, hey, you're not good to test your mode. I'm sorry. I'm telling you, I hope that I'm not stealing your thunder, but if I do this thousands of times, I see exactly what happens with patterns. If I say, hey, I don't think you should test, listen to me, okay? Even if it means I don't know what's the canceling fee, $200, $300, guys, that's nothing. And it's a lot of money. Look, your mental health and you being defeated will cost thousands of dollars in emotional pain. Okay, it will cost you so much more in emotional pain because you feel like I can't do it. I feel like an imposter. I don't understand this. I don't understand that. So you start building up the negativity, and it will work against you severely. Okay. So we had another question there. Sherry, do you have a question still? Or?
Yes, my PDFs are locked. It's requiring a passcode.
Okay. So it seems that I got that question from someone else as well. I'll make sure I will unlock it. Again, we have 2 websites, so every time I do something for one, I have to do for the other. That seems to be a problem in one of the websites that we have our course. I'll make sure that it is unlocked today.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right. Chris, do we have a question there?
Dr.
Yeah.
Lopez.
No, I don't. No, I don't.
Okay.
Dr. Lopez, this is Gina.
Yes. Go ahead, Gina.
Okay, for the AAMP, are we using the same study material for ANCC?
Yes, but for the AANP, right, we have a one question bank that's up. I'm working on the second, and I'm sorry, it's 600 questions. I am working on the second one day and night.
Okay.
You guys have no idea how hard it is to make questions and make sure everything is right.
Okay.
But the question bank that you have there is very good for the AANP. Why? Because it's very, very broad. You need broad, not specific for the AANP. Now, if you're doing for the ANCC, you need very specific, and that's the one for the question bank that I'm working on. So if you think of this way, the course is really built for the ANCC. However, it's a complete course. So we talk about all the conditions and things, so it will serve you well, either one that you take.
Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely. Who's the next person up? I see several hands and I couldn't catch up. Who's the order of asking questions? Beatrice.
Yes.
Please go ahead.
Yes, I'm new here, and I just want to know, how do I sign up for your programs? This is my first time.
Oh, you are in luck. Hopefully, let me say this, that a lot of people make the mistakes, and I mean no harm with this, okay? So I'm not trying to tweak my horns here. A lot of people do make the mistakes go with other courses and they fail. If you are the first time taking your test and you are arriving here, you're saving yourself a lot of pain. So at the end of the course, I'll go ahead and sit down with you. I'll explain how you get this entire package, and we'll go through the process. Is that okay?
Oh, yes, that's fine. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Thanks for being with us today. Chris Glory, or do you have a question there? Oh, that was a mistake. I think they are accepting all states. So what happened is that when you do the AANP, right, is a new board certification. So the job titles, I hire a lot of people in my job, right? So I have to create the job title. Now I have to go back in the job title and update the information. Do you really think I have the time for that? No, right? Like most administrators, they don't have the time to go back. And so when you see job posting, they may not say AANP because we just forgot or didn't update the job profile. But this is going to be a process, right? So if you apply for a job, still apply it, even though it's not the AANC. So you just apply, and then later on, if there is a problem, the job description should accept both certificates. There should be no difference. They both are well recognized programs and certifications. So you should have no problems whatsoever. Okay, getting a job after that. Plus, we'll be posting many jobs that we see that we think is good for you guys, that we think that's worthy of your education. Think of this way, all right? Don't accept low balls, okay? You done nursing school, you done your NCLEX, you done with working, you done with having a family, you are grown man or woman, you have experience, then you decided to go to your master. You finish your master's or your doctor's degree, now you study for your PMHNP board certification. So do not accept low balls, okay? If you're not confident, you should build your confidence because you need to know your worth. If you accept anything, people will give you like 80,000, 70,000, right? I mean, you have to understand that you are the cream of the crop, whether you believe it or not. Okay, don't accept low ball. You are worth $1 million. You really are. Now, get on with learning, right? Get on with knowing exactly how to prescribe medication so that you can produce what the company is asking. Nobody's hiring you because they love you, because they like you, because you're cute, or whatever it is the reason. Most of the time, I would say, right? They're hiring you because they need you. Okay. Now, they need you. Do you accept 80,000 or 200,000? Right? It depends. It really depends. If the company can get away with giving you 80,000, they will. Okay. But if you get that, say, look, you know, I have school loans. I am worthy of this job. This is the bare minimum that I can accept. It's an insult. Give me 130, 140,000. It is an insult. Okay. I'm telling you, like my company right now, I don't want to talk about my company, but for those that are very young, and they'll talk to you offline without giving you a lot of description, we'll give you 300,000 bonus. For those that are very young and dedicated and wants to do extra stuff, we'll give $300,000 for 6,000 for 6 years bonus. Okay. Why? Because we are worth it. We just gotta be able to talk about it, say exactly what you're thinking, and how you're going to treat the patient. Okay, and we teach you this, guys. We give you almost for free on our psychopharmacology course. That course is more intense than any university out there. I guarantee you. Because no one's going to take the time to teach you their way. No one. Because all what we care when we're in school is getting A's, right? So, and then after that, it's all about you learning for the love of learning for understanding, learning for the outcome, which is having excellent patient care and not being sued later. Okay. So with that, I think Glory, do you have one last question, then we can get started? All right. So we're good then. Okay. We are about to get started. So how do we play Kahoot? Okay. Kahoot is a game of being fast. Why it matters? Because on the board, we have seen way too many people not finish the 175 questions. Maybe that's why they are curtailing the amount of questions. Okay. So 175 questions, 3.5 hours. On the Kahoot, you have a minute per question. On your test, you should calculate a minute and 20 seconds per question. Now, Kahoot, first, whoever answers first gets more points, right? Answer first and correct. So correct and first, they'll be like the order there. You want it to be correct, but you want it to be fast. Answer on your phone if you're using 2 devices and look on the screen. All right, we are about to get started. Let's do this, guys. Good luck. We have about 30 questions. I think somebody just got kicked out, so I'm going to wait like 30 seconds more. Okay, so they'll let the person come back in. Sometimes Kahoot does this. Oh, in fact, guys, let me get a glass of water. I'm getting thirsty. Here we go. The person's back in. So here we go. We're about to start now. Well, it's more diagnosis and treatment. Lots of ADHD, lots of conditions going on today. Okay. Lining up the toys precisely in rows and patterns. What are we talking about? What condition is that, guys? All right, we have 15 seconds. Pick your best answer. What condition are we talking about? ADHD, autism, obsessive compulsive disorder, or developmental coordination disorder? Thank you, Tina. How is autism different than ADHD? Right? So if you see a question about lining up the toys, lack of a social interaction, perhaps anything like name called and do not answer. That's autism, okay? Very specific. Here is the explanation. Hopefully you guys can see on the screen there. Most likely is autism disorder. Now, let me go back to this a little bit more. Every time, this used to get me a lot. I used to see the symptoms, let's say major depressive disorder. So you need 5 symptoms, 2 weeks, and the question would give me 3 symptoms and didn't say the time. And I'm like, oh, it cannot be major depressive disorder. Well, wrong. Why? Because it's always the most likely answer, okay? The test will not give you a full description unless if it's generalized anxiety disorder. You need to write this down. The test needs to give you 6 months. That time frame is very specific. Okay, so here we have autism spectrum disorder. While the child behavior might seem obsessive compulsive disorder, the broader picture of the social difficulties and communication challenge points to ASD. Okay, I do not, someone had a question. If you're not, please unmute yourself because I cannot see your hand raising. Okay, all right, next question. All right, so increased need of energy, decreased need to sleep, poor sleep. Are we referring to, what are we going to do for this patient? We're going to start lithium immediately. Are we going to prescribe Prozac? Are we going to refer this patient for cognitive behavior therapy? Or we start on a low dose of antipsychotic medication like olanzapine? They're talking about bipolar here, okay? So okay, so some people are confused of what to do. Why can someone unmute yourself, one person at a time? Why would you not start lithium as the first medication that with someone that's highly manic?
Lithium takes time to build up, about a week.
Impossible. And it would
All
take
right.
time for lithium to take effect. So you got to do the antipsychotic, the atypical for now. It's like a loading dose or something before you start lithium.
You
Because as
killed
of
it.
this time, they are
Yes,
very unstable.
absolutely. Both answers are
Well,
both answers are exactly what I wanted to bring it up. But main one, I'm
You
more
also
concerned
need
with.
to run some tests before you start lithium.
That's true. That's very true. Well, 3 answers are correct. I like the overall rationale, but the main answer is that it takes time, right? Someone is manic. If you give olanzapine, you see this on the inpatient unit, and later on we transition to another antipsychotic if we need to. Okay. Now you see this on my course, on the psychopharmacology course. I always like to do 2 things when I have a manic patient. One is an SGA, followed by a mood stabilizer. So I usually do SGA to control the mania, and I do a mood stabilizer to control the depressive symptoms. Okay. But that should not be something on your test, just FYI. This should be a low dose of a antipsychotic, and here is the rationale. In acute mania, rapid stabilization is crucial to prevent harm to the patient and all others, okay? So a antipsychotic will provide you that rapid action that is needed at that time. Psychotherapy can be beneficial, but if someone is manic, they really need a medication to control that. Plus, if you look at the stem of the question, it said the patient was not medicated yet, had not tried the medication, something along those lines, right? Look at the cue of the question and always ask yourself, is the answer answering the question? Most of the time, we put distraction there. If the question is about the antipsychotic and we put a fact about antipsychotic, but it's not answering the question, would be wrong. Okay. Next question. You have 1 minute.
I have a question.
Next one, we'll go back. Okay, guys, this is a specific test question. Do not think what I would do in my job. This is someone that's been stable with major depressive disorder for the last 6 months. What has caused this person to derail, right? And what would you do? Would you increase the dose? Would you add a low dose of atypical antipsychotic? Would you switch to another class of antidepressant, or you assess for potential psychosocial stressors? Specifically, board question, not real life. Wow, good job, everyone. You guys actually killed it. Why did I stress specific board question? Because on the board, you need to assess, right? You need to assess for psychosocial. Now, in real life, you probably would do all things together, right? Not exactly start atypical, but increasing the dose would be a very strong answer in real life. Obviously, you assessing the whole situation. But for the board, you have increase the dose, add something else, antipsychotic. It's not, you can cross that, switch to a different antidepressant, or assess. You want to always assess before you do the intervention. Before I move on, because I can't stop for this. Well, let me move on here, and then we'll go back to someone who had a question. Okay. So Helen is taking the lead here. So this is the rationale. While we read the rationale, unfortunately, I cannot see the name of who had the question, but if you do have a question, please go ahead and ask now. Unmute yourself.
May I have the link to the game? I joined the class late.
Yes, I don't know if you'll be able to log in. I don't have the PIN code anymore because I don't remember. So you wouldn't, unless if someone has the PIN code, anybody remembers the PIN code to share with her? Yeah, well, it was a long code that's only be used for once. So we usually not save it. And I don't think you actually can join after the class starts.
4820.
I have the PIN code. It's 784820.
Okay, 784.
820. I actually did my this evening. Yeah.
Okay. Now you go to www.kahoot.it, not .com, the IT. Then you put your username and add the PIN code that was provided. Right? So we'll go ahead and get you to the next question. I'm not sure if you'll be able to log in. If you are, that's great. If not, we'll always be here Saturday night, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then you should be able to log in. Okay? Moving on to the next question. All right, so we have someone with pain that before one medication was enough, now needs more of the same medication. What are we talking about? Is this kindling? Is this tolerance, addiction, or potency issue? Right? Okay, so this is tolerance, right? When it's required of the same medication, the more of the same medication. All right, Jeanette took the lead. I think Jeanette won last week as well. I could be mistaken, but anyways, so tolerance refers to the decrease of effectiveness of a drug over time, require higher dose to achieve the same effect. Now, this why the last question about SSRI was a bit confused, and some people picked increase the dose, right? Because we know over time they would need a dose increase. If they started with 50 of Zoloft, after 6 months, maybe they would need a dose increase. And that's when I say that question was specific for the board, not a real life question, right? In the board, assess first before intervention. Real life, the same thing, assess first before intervention, but obviously it could be that the dose increase would be most appropriate.
Dr. Lopez,
Yes.
Before you progress, could you please explain kindling more?
Oh, good question. Excellent. Thank you for asking. Kindling is a concept that you need to know. So when an alcoholic kind of drinks a lot, or when someone uses substance abuse, especially stimulants, it kind of drops the seizure threshold. Okay, so you drop the seizure threshold. So kindling is exactly that. When your brain has this like thunder, and now it kind of got hurt. I'm being very in simple terms here, right? Your brain got hurt, so it remembers what it was like to be in the stage of almost seizure. So now your seizure threshold drops and drops and drops. So basically it's just a dropping of the seizure threshold. Okay, anyone would like to give a little bit different terminology for kindling? Okay, so all you need to know really is the dropping of the seizure threshold. That's why when someone drinks alcohol, right, alcohol withdrawal can kill. Why? It's mostly related to seizure, because now they kept on dropping. Now they stopped taking the alcohol, and now the seizure threshold is much lower, especially within 72 hours. Or
I
after
have a tiny bit to add there. If
Please.
the word kindling is throwing you off and you're anything like you've ever been in the country or been camping, you're thinking about kindling for a fire. The fire in the brain is already kindled, ready to spark, meaning you've lowered your threshold. You're closer to threshold. Kindling, like firewood.
Ooh, I like it. I have so many acronyms in different ways in my course that I don't even know, different ways. But ways like that the best ones are the most silly, sometimes inappropriate or whatever. Those when we associate a concept to something that very, very silly, inappropriate, or whatever, our brain tends to remember forever. Okay, I'm not saying for you to do anything that's silly or inappropriate. I'm just saying when you associate a concept to something else, you will always remember. Now, when you hear kindling, think of the fire, right? And think of a seizure, lowering the seizure threshold. Okay?
Dr. Lopez?
Yes.
So will they, if you give Wellbutrin to someone that has seizure, will they get to kindling?
Well, that's a great question. It's not a yes or no, but I would not give Wellbutrin. In fact, that's one of the contraindications if someone had the TBI, eating disorder, or history of seizures, because it does lower the seizure threshold. Wellbutrin does do that. So yes. So the answer, if you want to hear like a yes or no, would be a yes. So Wellbutrin lowers the seizure threshold, does most likely could potentially harm the patient.
Okay, so that's why it's contraindicated.
Yep, contraindicated. All right, next question. We're moving out. All right, is this ADHD, a single setting? ADHD requires a single behavior assessment, or symptoms of inattention are typically not seen in children with ADHD, or the last one, the presence of symptoms in multiple settings is an essential criteria. You have 10 seconds to complete your answer. Pick your best option. All right, 5 seconds, pick any option and go. Okay, so this is very, very important. You should write this down. Very, very important. If you hear about ADHD, you need 2 settings. It needs to be at home and another setting. Why do I say at home? Because at home, the kid always come back home, right? So I'll say it doesn't necessarily has to be at home, but has to be in 2 settings in which the child acts in a similar manner. So if the child is very pleasant at home and comes to school and throwing things out, and throwing pencils at the teacher and can't sit still, that is not ADHD. So this is why we have a test. One we give to the teacher and one for the parents, and we compare them, assessments, tools, and we compare them and see if the 2 persons they see similar things, so that the behavior is not only at home but is also in other locations. Very important. Okay, very important. You should write down in multiple settings. Jeanette still taking the lead there. All right, so what the explanation here? Okay, next question, get ready. All right, you have 30 seconds. Pick your best answer. I need more water, please. Thank you, I'm thirsty. All right, 5 seconds, 3 seconds, pick your best answer. Okay, you guys are catching on. This is ADHD. I am repeating a lot of concepts so that you are well versed on the concept, okay? Thank you, Tina. Okay. I have a 9-year-old that likes to wake up at 5 in the morning with me, so she's super hyper. So the core of the question, what part of the brain is associated with ADHD, right? When you're reading the question, ask yourself, what is the question asking me? Can be tricky, right? Is this a hypoactivation of the prefrontal cortex over activity in the middle? Is this enlargement of the hippocampus? The big hippos with the big head, remember in my course? The normal function of the basal ganglia. This one's going to get a lot of people. Okay, not as much as I thought, right? So it's a hypoactivity of the prefrontal cortex. Think about this way. Can they do the functions that are required that other children would do, right? That have normal prefrontal cortex. No, right? So there's a hyperactivity there. So that's why the hyperactivity can be a bit misleading, because if you think of them as hyperactive, right? So that's why it was a bit misleading. So, but yes, research suggests the hyperactivity of the brain, of this brain region, is associated with symptoms of ADHD. There are others, okay? But that will be the main one. Thirty seconds left. Hopefully everyone gets this question right. We have an ADHD. Would we give methylphenidate? Would we give Prozac, lorazepam, or amitriptyline? Believe you. Okay, so sometimes it happens that we click the wrong button, right? With Kahoot, I get it. This one you want to give a methylphenidate, right? Because it's ADHD. Or methylphenidate, yeah, Ritalin, right? Preferably extended release. Now, if you give an extended release, pay attention, because this is important. If you give a extended release and the child only lasts until 2 p.m., then what would be your next action? You can do then the immediate release for the rest of the day. All right, so the core of the questions, you have someone with ADHD and now having motor and vocal tic, okay? What medications change, if any, should you do? Give them, increase some methylphenidate. You want to give guanfacine, you want to give a etomidate, or bupropion. Ooh. That's a hard one, okay? It probably will be an invalid question because it's possible two answers, okay? Okay, so why I say this? A question should never give you two possible correct answers, okay? So the correct answer is guanfacine, but Strattera is not incorrect. It could be Strattera as well. So a question like this one you would not see on your test would be incorrect. Both are approved for ADHD, and both would fit the perimeter for the age. So both questions are correct, but
doesn't the one not help with the tics? Doesn't the guaifenesin help with the tics specifically?
It does, but the tics came in because did it come in because of the person was using stimulant? I don't remember the question, but guanfacine, it would be a great question, great answer, but etomidate would also fit the perimeter of ADHD, right? So the question was, I believe that someone was with taking a stimulant and now presented with motor and vocal tic. Okay, so etomidate could be also be an answer. So a question like that with two possible answers, it would not be on your test. Promise you. But know that guanfacine, etomidate, or even clonidine, the three of them could be correct answer choice. All right. So did someone raise your hand? I cannot see you, so you can just unmute yourself and speak if you have a question. All right. If not, we're moving on. Next question. Are we going to give this person methylphenidate, Zoloft, Strattera, or Vyvanse?
I have a question.
Okay, as soon as we're done here, we'll go over the question. 5 seconds. Take your best answer and go. Okay. So before we answer this question, let's go ahead. What is your question?
Could you allow the question a little bit to be zoomed? Yes.
Say it again.
Could you let the question to be on the screen a little bit more?
Oh, okay.
Please.
I'll definitely try to do that for sure.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So here is what we mentioned the previous question, right? The previous question was about ADHD with tics, modems, and tics, right? So you can give etomidate, guanfacine, or clonidine. Okay. Vyvanse is a stimulant. You do not give a stimulant for someone that's already having tics or vocal tic, right? That could potentiate more tics. So if you get a question and the child is doing super well in school, and the mother is like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Ever since we started this stimulant, my child changed for better. However, he's having a tic. Which of the following should be your first action? Is to stop the medication. Do not increase, do not decrease, do not change for another stimulant. Do not try something else. You stop the medication. And if they say stop the medication and initiate guanfacine, clonidine, or Strattera, that is the right answer. Okay. So here is the rationale why Strattera is a good option. Okay. So, all right. It's a non-stimulant used to treat ADHD. It is a preferred choice for children with ADHD who also have comorbid tics and disorder, as a stimulant can sometimes worsen tics. Okay, so that kind of answered the previous question as well. That's why I mentioned was incorrect just to say guanfacine. Etomidate can do it. Clonidine can do it as well. Do not get tricked by the stem of the question by saying, hey, my child is doing super good. Things are awesome. That's just this mild modem tic. They're trying to disguise a trap into the question. Now, before we move on, I want to ask you, give me someone, if I think of Vyvanse for which condition that's not ADHD related, is a Vyvanse a good choice of medication? Which eating disorder condition?
Bulimia?
Not quite.
Binge eating.
Say it again.
Binge eating disorder.
Yes, binge. Write this down. It's important. Vyvanse can be given to binge eating disorder. Okay. So anorexia and bulimia, similar in some symptoms, but anorexia, very low BMI, bulimia, normal to elevated BMI. Okay. Someone with a BMI less than 15-ish, there is no cutoff line there. A 15-ish, you should be considering admission. If the mother says no, then you should call CPS. Okay. Just reviewing some of our points on the course here so that you guys stick with y'all. All right, so substance use disorder, we're looking for signs of a stimulant abuse, core of the question. Is it weight gain? Is it agitation, restless, and increased energy level? Prolonged period of excessive sleep? Slurred speech or slowed reaction time? 10 seconds left. Pick your best answer. 5 seconds. Pick an answer. Well done, right? So, yeah, I can see prolonged period of sleep, right? Especially after they are going through withdrawals. But if someone that's abusing medication, most likely it would show agitation, restless, and increased energy level, right? Because of the dopamine. Always remember, that's something to remember. What are the two neurotransmitters involved with substance use disorder?
Dopamine and GABA.
Dopamine and GABA. Write this down, guys. Dopamine and GABA, okay? These could be potentially questions that you might see it again. So it's important to write those small reminders that are not part of the questions right now. These are things that will go through our course and we hop on them on and on and on again until you get it past the PMHNP board certification. I cannot see your hand. Just go ahead and speak if you have a question. Okay, so that was not a question. So moving on. All right, so what would be the best answer? Cognitive behavior therapy, increase screen time in video game to ease the symptoms, or high dose vitamin D, or avoid structured routine. For someone with ADHD, a child. Perfect. Well done, 100%. You guys nailed it. Good job. And did Jeanette won last time as well? I'm not sure. I don't remember if it was Jeanette, but she's killing it. So we got Jeanette, Helen, DK, Stephen, Johnson, and D. So the three, only the five of you guys are really on point here. So CBT is a good choice, right? But there are other that it should come actually above CBT, okay, for ADHD. So let's see the next question. It might be a cue to you. What's the answer? All right, do we want to do parent-child management training for someone with ADHD? We want to do educational interventions, social skill trainings, or individual cognitive behavior therapy. Again, the best option, right? The most likely answer. We have 10 seconds. 2 seconds. All right, so that is why I said that there are others that could be used instead of CBT. If you hear ADHD, think of parent-child management training, right? The problem is that we need to teach the parents how to deal with the child. Taking the child only to CBT is not going to do a whole lot. It's a lot of a structure that we need to teach. A lot of emphasize is a lot of, hey, instead of yelling at your kid, get off the phone, stop, look at them. Hey, Johnny, you have 5 minutes. When the 5 minutes is up, I'm coming back and I'll be picking up the phone. And you have to do it. You cannot just promise, say that you're going to do something, don't do it. You cannot be on your phone and say, Johnny, get off the phone, right? So that it is a lot of the teaching that we need to provide to the parents. So that's a very specific type of therapy that works super well for ADHD.
Dr. Lopez,
Yes.
would it be right to say that parent-child management training supersedes CBT?
Yeah, I would say so. It's the best option between both of them.
Thank you.
Would pick that over CBT because CBT would be more for the child, right? So it's more of a, hey, let's talk about your misconceptions in your brain, right? And let's rebuild them. But this is more specific. This is structure. It's the parents working with the child. So you're involving the family in the management of the child with ADHD. Thank you for the questions. A little bit more time, a longer question. All right, so are we referring to major depressive disorder, generalized anxiety disorder, bipolar 2, or borderline personality disorder? What is your best answer? You have 30 seconds. All right, we have 15 seconds. Pick your best answer. Pick any answer, 5 seconds. Okay, so this is borderline personality disorder. Very, very clear by the details. Anytime you hear someone that borderline personality disorder, right, you ought to think of DBT and think of Marshall Lineham. The therapy goal is to decrease suicidal behavior, decrease crisis. If you see a relationship where the couple says, you know, the wife or the husband says, if she leaves me, I'll kill me. I'll kill myself, right? Not I'll kill me, I'll kill myself. Or I cannot stand when she goes on leave, or I can't stand when she goes to work, because because they fear this abandonment, right? So the question was kind of almost telling you something about abandonment, right? Unstable relationship. That's DBT, borderline personality disorder, in its core. Right. Next question. Oops. Oh, no. Oh, 1 second. Emotional dysregulation, impulsive behavior, self-harming tendency, very strong. Interpersonal difficulties. Okay. So where are we? What condition are we referring to? And what is the treatment of the choice? Right. So would we recommend electrical convulsive therapy, antipsychotic, should be antipsychotic medication there, DBT, or inpatient hospitalization? Does this person needs an inpatient hospitalization? Okay, everyone got this mostly correct. Good job, everyone actually got it correct. So dialectical behavior therapy, Marshall Lynham, right? So I don't think we need the explanation. Everybody got it right. Moving on to the next question. So now we have a DBT with mood swing, impulsivity, and frequent episodes of depression. So what is our best option in this specific case? You have 30 seconds left. Are we going to give an SSRI? How about benzodiazepine, initiate antipsychotics, or do a mood stabilizer? I can see how this question can be split in two possible answers, but think about the best answer. Would you start on one before the other? You could try 3 options, but where would you start with? Which one is the safest? Okay, guys, so I can see why a mood stabilizer, right? Or I can see a antipsychotic medication. However, you have mood stability. So we are not talking about a bipolar. We're talking about borderline personality disorder, right? So with depression, so you do a SSRI first, especially those folks with borderline personality disorder. They don't want to die, but they do attempt a lot, right? So
But
if
the
you
main
give
complaint was mood.
correct mood, but it didn't say specifically it's towards bipolar. It said depression, right? So just because mood can be depression, mood swings, but it doesn't mean necessarily that you give a mood stabilizer, right? So an SSRI can be helpful with depression. And the reason why you don't want to give a mood stabilizer like lithium, lamotrigine, or Depakote, if they're already having these suicidal behaviors, if they take a bottle of SSRI, most likely they'll be sick. They will not die. Now, if they take a bottle of lamotrigine or they take a bottle of Depakote, they might have a lipotoxicity, and bottle of lithium, they'll definitely have cardiac dysfunction. Okay, so think of this way: the safest first. Safe. It does not mean the best or the most. The safest is the best answer for the test, but also it doesn't mean that works better. For example, SSRIs versus TCAs, which one works best for depression? The question is what best. Now, which one's better, right? Works best, TCA. TCA is more effective. Is it the best option? No, it's not, because SSRIs are safer, okay? One says mood, it doesn't mean that's necessarily immediately a bipolar disorder. Social inhibitions, feeling inadequacy, hypersensitivity to criticism or rejection. That should ring the bell. What condition are we referring to? Major depressive disorder, bipolar 2, social anxiety disorder, or avoidance personality disorders. Don't get tricked. We have 15 seconds. Pick your best answer. Five seconds, pick any answer, and we are done. All right. So I can see why a lot of people went with social anxiety disorder. Okay. But how is that different? Let's take a look on the rationale here. Jeanette took the lead again. So most likely this is an avoidance personality disorder, right? It's characterized by extreme social inhibition, feeling inadequacy, and hypersensitivity to criticism, right? So when we look at the clusters A, B, and C, that avoidance personality disorder falls into the cluster C, right? When we say hypersensitivity to criticism, that really sounds like uh, uh, others clusters like a cluster B, right? But this is more specific to avoid this personality disorder than it is to anxiety associated with the social events. Okay. All right. So this condition here, we have lack of empathy for others. We have grandiosity. We have reversive patterns of that, right? And most importantly, his achievement, he believes, is unique and deserve special treatment. That's the cue of the question. Major depressive disorder, narcissistic, bipolar 1, or obsessive compulsive disorder. You have 5 seconds, pick your best answer. Right? So narcissistic are those that if they turn in a job and the boss says, hey, this wasn't what I expected, this is less than what I wanted to, they'll flip, right? Because they believe they deserve the accolades even though they did not do the work for it. Okay, so they are the best thing ever. That's a characteristic of narcissist. Very close associated with antisocial personality disorder. Some of the characteristics, right? They also have this lack of empathy, not as much as the antisocial. Antisocial, the hallmark would be lack of empathy for others, right? They'll still do things that is unacceptable. All right, we have 10 seconds. Pick your answer. 4 seconds, pick any answer. Okay, well done, guys. So this is a schizoid personality disorder, right? So that's your cluster A, schizotypal, schizoid. So here we have limited emotional expressions. They don't necessarily care, hey, you did a great job. They'll just look at you and okay, right? So they are very indifferent to praise or even harsh comments, right? So they just don't care. They feel emotionally detached, right? Uh, so and social, they're not like really want to be with others. So they'll work in the basement, they're alone, they're fine, they are actually doing well by themselves. At least they believe they are. Now here we have a characteristic: magical thinking, usual perception, experience, unusual, having belief in special powers, supernatural phenomena. So is this a major depressive disorder, generalized anxiety disorder, schizotypal personality disorder, or obsessive compulsive disorder? Okay, so when you hear schizotypal, right, think of the guy that has a tinfoil on his head, right? They don't quite make schizophrenia, but they just have those odd, eccentric ideas out of nowhere, like a spaceship is following me, but they don't necessarily are make the cut for schizophrenia, right? But they have very odd, eccentric ideas. Okay. Magical thinking, very strong keyword there. Now, this odd beliefs, unusual perceptual experience, and discomfort in social settings, right? Magical thinking believes in other things, peculiar mannerism, and speech. So now we have a little bit more information. Okay, so when it gets a little bit harder, doesn't it? Remember, the question will not give you a full answer, give you a full description of the condition. So sometimes you get in a bind, like this question, right? I can see why some people start going for schizophrenia, right? But the best description still is a schizotypal, okay? But don't expect that the question will give you a full description of the diagnosis unless if it's generalized anxiety disorder, and that they'll need to give you a 6-month time frame. Okay? So we have a pervasive distrust, suspicions of others, right? Are we talking about borderline personality disorder, paranoid personality disorder, schizoid, or schizotypal? Three seconds, pick your answer. Okay, you guys are killing it. Good job, everyone. So this is a very important one that you should know. That's a paranoid personality disorder. You might see this in clinicals, you might see this in your hospital, but you definitely may see it again on your test, okay? So it's an important one, but obviously it's a lot simpler. So as a patient exhibits symptoms, classics of paranoid personality disorder, short perversive distrust, right? They just do not trust anyone. Suspicion, sensitivity to perceived sites, and the questions about the loyalty of others, it's always in the forefront of the thoughts. So preoccupation with orders, perfectionism, and control. This is very specifically for a condition. What is this?
Don't make it noise. So.
All right, you have 6 seconds. Pick your best answer. Okay, well done. So obsessive compulsive disorder are those that are very stingy with budget, right? Cannot spend an extra penny, even though they do have the money. They are very concerned about order and discipline, for example. But why is this a problem? Let's say you have a paper and it is like a 90, right? So it's a strong paper. It's not 100. They will prefer to not turn it in on the due date because it's not perfect, rather than turn it in and be over with. However, they're always late with their assignments because they always want perfection, and we know that perfection is almost never achieved, right? We would try to be perfect in all aspects of our lives, and at some point we are going to fall short because we cannot be perfect 24 hours a day, right? So, and that causes a lot of distress. So they're at obsessive compulsive personality disorder is very different than OCD. Two different conditions, okay? And two different treatments too. So one is a personality, another one is a disorder. Okay, next question. "20 seconds. Is this a borderline personality disorder? Is this a dependent personality disorder, narcissistic, or is a schizoid personality disorder?" Wow, well done, guys. So we got a lot of people that went for the dependent personality disorder, and that is the correct answer. Let's see why. Submissive, right? So it said right there in this on the stem of the questions. Patients submissive and clinging behaviors. Although clinging can really sounds like a borderline personality disorder. Fears of separation that can also sounds like borderline personality disorder, and needs for reassurance. That seems like more of a dependent personality disorder. So again, the questions will not be a clear cut on your test. Okay, so you have to pick the best option. It would be very good if they give you all the scenarios with the full description, the full time, and like a DSM-5, but they will not. Here, the key of the question avoids eye contact. It appears indifference to others, emotions, and interaction. This is important. All right, we have 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Trust of you guys got it correct. If you hear someone calling the name, they don't answer. They do not have eye contact. They lining toys in order. This is well a good description for autism spectrum disorder. Okay. So they seem to only listen to the parents. Not that they are not listening. They seem to respond only to the parents. So before we go on, let's talk about how schizoid and the schizotypal personality disorder, how they are kind of similar or different. So both of them fall under the category cluster 1 of personality disorder, right? So both of them kind of have a personality disorder, often characterized by odd or eccentric behavior. However, they have few distinguished that are kind of, I don't think that's so important for your task, but it's cool to talk about it, and it's good for you to know since you will be dealing with the patients. So the schizoid, when you think about the schizoid, think of a social detachment. People with this disorder, they typically prefer solitary activities and have little interest in social interaction. Schizoid, they have a range of emotion. They often appear cold, indifferent, and detached. Schizoid, they have a lack of a close relationship, right? They have difficulty forming deep connection. Now, schizotypal is the widow with the tin foil on his head. He also has social anxiety, right? So they're very uncomfortable in social situation. They have an odd belief in thinking. I think that's the number one thing. When you think is schizotypal, the tinfoil, the odd beliefs in thinking, that falls almost close to schizophrenia. But they may have an unusual belief in magical thinking. And the third characteristic is they also have paranoia and suspiciousness, right? So they may have mistrust or paranoia thoughts. So the key difference, they both disorders really involve social difficulties, but schizoid are primarily indifferent to social interactions, while schizotypal, right? Schizotypal are the individuals that are anxious and uncomfortable in social settings. Additionally, they have the magical thinking and the unusual beliefs with paranoia and eccentric, very, very eccentric. So you can separate those and be more clear about your answers. All right, so the core of the question, you have someone with ASD, spectrum disorder, autism disorder. What would be the best therapy for someone with this condition? Very specific question, okay? All right, 1 second, pick your best answer and go. Well done, guys. Actually, you know, I thought this question was going to be more difficult, right? We still got 5 people that went to CBT, but let's take a look why this question is a better answer for applied behavior analysis or ABA therapy. Is a well-established and effective non-pharmacological intervention for ASD targeting social and communication skills. So if you really think about that, it rings a bell because that's the two targets for the ASD, right? So they have this lack of a social and communication skills, and that's why ABA would be a better option compared to CBT. We have 21 seconds. We would do stimulants primarily toward autism spectrum disorder core symptoms. Stimulants directly affect the functioning of the mirror neuron in the brain. Stimulants meds modulates the release of the reuptake of neurotransmitters or promote adaptive social behaviors and reduce sensory arrival. All right, so complicated question, right? Now the answer is the blue option because stimulants, they work primarily on a dopamine and dopamine and norepinephrine reuptake neurotransmitters, right? So is the best answer. Here we go. Because those two neurotransmitters involves attention, focus and impulse control. So when we talked about ABA, the last question there, right? So we talked about the changing of the behaviors. It's very specific for autism spectrum disorder. It can be very effective for people with developmental disability as well, or behavior challenge, right? So how it works? It really works by using positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement. So the positive reinforcement is something that I absolutely love, is when you do something good, you get something for it. And that's why we do this in our program. When you move from one task to the other, you get points, right? So basically, I'm trying to wire the brain with the positive response. So rewarding positive behaviors to encourage repetition. The negative reinforcement is removing something unpleasant to increase the desired behavior. Okay, so that's called negative reinforcement. Extinction, they also work with extinction, so ignoring unwanted behaviors to reduce its consequence, or even shaping, which is a gradual reinforcing of the behavior that comes closer to the desired behavior, I guess. So that is why ABA is so effective with autism spectrum disorder, and they like orders, right? So it's important to have orders. For example, I do some community community service in the schools, and I visit some classes with the ADHD, right? So basically, the teacher says he yells at me, calls me name all day long, but when it comes to the time, it's 6 p.m. or whatever time it was, on the dot, he knows that it's time to let off the computer. He automatically shuts down because it's exactly 6 p.m. So they do like order, okay? So it's important there. All right, so we are getting better, better, and better each time. So if you see, I'm repeating the same question in a different tone to ensure that we are 100%. Everyone gets it right next time, okay? Next question. Prefers plays alone with specific toys or object. Which of the following is the most likely diagnosed? Come on, everyone. I need 100% correct. Let's see if we can do this. Pick your best answer. We have 30 seconds. Twenty seconds left. Five seconds. And we are done. All right, we didn't get 100%, but we got close, so that's good enough. So that is a specific, very specific for autism spectrum disorder, okay? So good job, everyone there. Let's take a look on the rationale, right? Similar to the other questions, there's the child symptoms are consistent with ASD, autism spectrum disorder, including social difficulties, communication challenges, and repetitive behavior. Very, very specific. Child called by the name but doesn't answer. Yes, that's ASD. Okay, so now let's take a look here. Who made the podium here? We have Cloud third place, Helen took the second place, and who is Janet? Janet, you won last week, didn't you? I kind of remember that. We have Steve, and I missed the last person, but good job, everyone. Winning is great. Being part of the podium is great, but the most important is that you learn. And in fact, I would say that it's better that you make mistakes here, because we all learn better with our mistakes than with our victories, right? So don't feel discouraged. Keep studying, keep pushing. You are so much closer than you think. If you really stop and think about this, right now, you are exactly where you wanted to be a few years ago. Do you remember a time that you said, geez, I would love to be a psychiatric nurse practitioner. And look at you. You are few weeks away from graduating, or you have graduated, or you're studying for the board. Yes, it will be stressful. Yes, it's not just a walk in a park, but you can do this. You absolutely can do this. So what I am going to do now is we are going to stop the Kahoot, okay? Then we are going to take a break, maybe go over very fast, some questions very fast, not for very long. I don't want to make this an entire class. We have the whole program with there already set up for you. And then we'll go over some of the how to enroll in the course if you'd like to. There is some interest. I really believe that is a very, very, very small investment. It will save you tons of time. It will get you in the right direction. But everyone, it's up to everyone what you want to do. So be back in 10 minutes. So let's be back at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and I'll see you in 10 minutes. All right.
Dr. Lopes,
Bye-bye.
we're not going to go over more questions, right?
No more questions.
Okay.
You're good to go. It's more of a, maybe some rapid fire scenarios, but nothing too specific. You can just, you already enrolled in a course. You have everything there. So right now I'm just going to talk to those that are interested, answer questions, and maybe if someone has a specific question, something like that. Okay.
Right, see you next week.
Thanks for coming.